Hello and welcome to MyTel Training. Today we'll learn how to construct an auto attendant using OpEasy. To begin, you would click on Provisioning, and then from there, Virtual Users, and then click on Auto Attendants. Now, auto attendants are set up by group, so first you would select the group that you want to use, and then hit Add. From here, there's several configuration options that we'll go through, but first thing is to give your auto attendant a name that's descriptive. So in our case, we'll call this More Auto Attendant. And then you'll give it an ID. Again, something to uniquely identify this, so we'll call this one More AA. And then you need to select the standard auto attendant type. If you don't have the option, it may have been configured to only be standard, but if you do have the option, do click standard. If you intend to have this auto attendant in a department, go ahead and select that. In our case, for our example, we won't do that. Then you need to select the phone number. So we have been allocated this phone number, 476-555-2020, as the phone number for our auto attendant. If you intend to use an extension to allow internal users to access, you can enter an extension. In our case, we're not going to do that. If you have been directed to assign this to a specific site, you can enter that. In our case, we need to use the default site. Now next, I will scroll up a little bit. If you intend to offer voicemail with this auto attendant, you can do that, but the way you would need to set it up is go back to the top and select voicemail from the menu of services available. From there, you'll notice a new tab shows up where you can configure voicemail. Now in our case, we're going to go back to the auto attendant tab because we don't need voicemail for this particular example that we're setting up today. Next, you would put your calling line ID, last name and first name. In this case, I will just call this More and Auto Attendant. And if there's a calling line ID phone number, in our case, we're just going to use the same phone number that we were allocated. So 476-555-2020. Now, if your auto attendant is going to leverage business hours and holiday hours, then you can select that next. Keep in mind that the schedules that are available here need to be prepared in advance to have them available in the drop down here. The next section shows that the scope of this auto attendant, which we'll leave at enterprise, but it can be reduced in scope if need be. And the name dialing order here is in case you want to use the function that allows callers to name dial if they already know the extension that they want to call. So you would allow them to select either last name, first name, or however you would like the names to be searched as they enter those digits. And last on this particular tab is there are additional services that could be assigned to an auto attendant. We don't need any of those additional services today, so we won't go into those, but they are available, and if needed, that's where you would set those. So next, we'll go on to the optional tab. Now from here, you could change the time zone. In our case, we need the group default anyway, so we won't need to change that. And we also don't need to change the English language, but you can change that as well. And you can set up SIP alias phone numbers if need be for this auto attendant. And in our case, we don't need to do any of that, so we're going to move on to the next tab, which is menus. From here, you need to select the schedule that you intend to work with. So we're going to start with the business hours menu here. Now, for the initial greeting that's played when a caller calls into the auto attendant, this is where you would click personal greeting and select a personal audio greeting. Now, this is another area of what needs to be set up in advance. We've already gone into the group level and created the prompts that need to be played at the various places for all the menus we're going to set up today. So I'm going to select the business 7 to 7, which is our initial greeting for the business hours portion of the auto attendant. On this schedule, I'm also going to click Enable First Level Extension Dialing. This allows callers, if they already know the extension that they want, to go ahead and press on their phone the letters of the name that they want to call to, and then they can just immediately transfer and not have to go through all the menu items. If you want that option, that's where you would enable that. So the next thing we're going to do is set up our menu options. In our example, we're going to set up 6 menu options. One of those menu options is going to have a submenu with 2 choices. So the first thing we want our caller to be able to do is press 0 to transfer to the operator. So you notice that it's already pre-selected, but if it wasn't, you would just select transfer to operator, then type in the extension or the phone number of the operator. In our case, we were allocated extension 2010 for our operator. You typically want to provide a description for these options as well as you go through. So I'm going to call this receptionist since we're transferring to the operator. The second option that we want to do is to play an announcement giving our caller the business hours and directions to the building. So I'm going to call this directions. When they press 1, it will play the audio announcement that you select here. Again, as we said before, these need to be pre-recorded in advance. These have already been assigned to the group, so they're available for me in the drop-down. So I am going to select the hours and directions file for that. The third option that we want is to allow them to press 2 to get to customer service. So in our case, I'm going to transfer with prompt, and then I'm going to, in the description, put customer service for this option. And again, since customer service has a extension to get to that group, we've been allocated 2011. So I'm going to enter that there. Now the next option is another transfer, in this case to sales. We want to be able to transfer to sales, but we want to have 2 choices. So the way you do that is we will select transfer to submenu. Then we'll put sales because that's the group that we want to go to. Now, you'll notice that we have no submenus in our drop-down to associate with this submenu. So we need to go up to the top and click the submenus tab and add one. So we'll click the add submenu button here. And the first thing you need to do is give this a ID, just much like we did the main auto attendant ID. So I'm going to call this sales submenu. And just like the main greeting, if this submenu, when they press this key, if you want to have another greeting to play to tell them what options are available, you would select that here also. Remember, these all need to be pre-recorded. In our case, the sales audio file has been recorded to give us the 2 options that we want. So the first option is we want to transfer to US sales. The second option to international sales. So let's set up the US sales. We know, because we were given, that that is going to be extension 2012. So I will call this one US sales. And then option 2, I will transfer with prompt to international sales, which I know is extension 2013. So I will call this international sales. Now notice also that option 9 has already been pre-provisioned to return to the previous menu if that's what the user wants to do. Okay, so I'll click OK to save that submenu. Now you notice that the changes have been made to that page, but won't be fully saved until we complete the work that we were doing on the auto attendant here and save that. So I will go back to the menus. Now I can select the submenu that we just created for this option. So if they press 3, they will be played the prompt for the sales submenu that we just set up. Now the fourth item that we want is to allow them to go to name dialing. This will allow them to type in any character they want for the party if they already know who they want to talk to. So I'm going to call this one name dialing. And then to finalize this menu, I'm going to scroll down just a little bit because I would like for the caller to be able to press the pound key to be able to repeat this menu that we've just set up. And now our auto attendant is complete. We have 6 menu options. They can transfer to the operator. They can play an announcement to get hours and directions. They can transfer to the customer service group, and they can transfer to a submenu which will allow them to choose between US sales and international sales. In addition, they can press option 4 to go to name dialing to enter whom they want, and they can press the pound key to repeat the menu. So we are done. So let me scroll back up to the top, and the last thing we need to do is click the OK button at the top to save everything. And now our auto attendant is complete. So I will click the search button here to do a search for auto attendants in this group. And now the auto attendant we just created is now available. You can always come back to virtual users, auto attendants, and then hit search button to show any auto attendants that are built for the group. And you can click the edit button to go back in and revise any data that you want to.